So recently I just went on a trip to Barcelona for a few days, and so many things happened that disclaimer, this video might be all over the place. I'll start by talking about the flight there. It was just my mom and I, which we've never been on a trip just the two of us for so long, and somehow we didn't get in a fight, which I'm not complaining about. We got to the airport around 7 p.m. and our flight was around 9, which is perfect timing if you think about it, because it would have already been nighttime by the time the plane took off, and I would be able to sleep the entire flight. Long story short, that did not happen. We got separate seats, and I got the middle seat. I was in between two women, one that looked in her late 40s and one that was old. The 40-year-old woman started to eat this chip mix, and it had the most pungent smell. And I think the old lady was sick because she kept manically coughing. On top of all that, the person in front of me reclined her seat so far that the screen was almost directly in front of my face. And I didn't want to recline my seat because I didn't want to make the person behind me also hate me, so I sat 90 degrees with the most perfect posture for over 8 hours straight. When we finally landed, I practically jumped out of my seat and got out of there as quickly as I could with no feeling in my lower body. With 2 luggage bags, a backpack, and a neck cramp, we were here. After passing out at the hotel for an hour, our first stop was food. We went to a touristy area and all of the restaurants were in the same chain, and the menus were kind of confusing because some of the descriptions of the food would be in English and the others in Spanish. I took 5 years of Spanish classes at school and I did not remember a single thing, so it was like a gamble of what I would get. I just pointed to a random item every time and hoped that I liked it, and it worked out most of the time. While I was absolutely destroying the mystery dishes, this couple appeared out of nowhere and started playing instruments, a violin and a clarinet. They were pretty good, except I didn't have any cash on me and neither did my mom because we just paid with our phone or card. So I looked dead straight and tried my best not to jam to the music. Next, we went to this place. We got a tour on the inside of it, and a quick summary of it is, a married couple, I don't know how to pronounce those names, asked this guy that worked as an architect, hey, can you build us a house? And then he proceeded to ignore their request and instead build a massive place that was both way over the legal dimensions and way over the budget. I started to derealize thinking about the fact that people from 100 years ago actually lived here, and all I could think about was, wow, they're all dead. I also took a picture of the toilet because it looked cool. After that, we continued to explore the city where I saw the most amount of dogs I've ever seen. Every dog I saw looked like it matched the owner too, which was pretty cool. Also, there was this one dog I remember that looked so sad for some reason. It had the most physical frown I've ever seen. It looked almost human. It wasn't moving either, and it was kind of scary. Anyway, we stopped by the supermarket and got some mangoes, oranges, and lots of water. It was a full 6-pack and it cost only €2, which was really cheap, except it weighed probably over 25 pounds. That doesn't seem like much, but carrying that around in my backpack felt like my shoulders were gonna fall off. And now I know how the Egyptians felt building the pyramids. Running on 4 hours of sleep and dragging my backpack around actually made me feel like I was gonna pass out. You know when you stay up too late at night and start to not feel real and can't focus on anything? Yeah, that was me, except way worse. The route to the hotel was 15 minutes, and that felt like an hour, probably because I was walking really slow. I just gazed into the distance until I snapped out of it and we were here. I suddenly got a burst of energy to go to the room, and then I collapsed onto the bed. I never felt more comfortable in my life. Finally. The next day, I devoured an orange, and then we left to explore the rest of the city. And while walking around, I saw something crazy. An army of pigeons. Usually I would see 3 or 4 of them pecking at nothing or at leftover food on the outdoor restaurant tables, but this was on a whole nother level. It was like they were spawning in and multiplying by the second. As I was recording the piles of pigeons, an old woman walked up to me and pointed towards her palm. I was really confused at first. I thought she was asking for money, but then I saw that her hand was full of bird seeds. So that was her whole business, selling bird food to attract every single pigeon in the country in one spot. And it was clearly working because after that, our next goal was to reach Park Well. And my mom asked me, you want to walk there? And I said, okay. Little did I know that was a fatal mistake. While we started walking closer to the park, I started to notice that the sidewalk gradually got steeper and steeper and steeper until it was almost like I was walking up a vertical path. If you tripped or fell, no lie, you would tumble down the whole entire street. I think I used every single muscle in my body walking up the slope, and when we finally got to the top, I was so glad to be done with walking. When we actually got to the top, we walked towards the entrance in the park and I didn't even have the energy to be upset. After about 10 minutes of sitting down and contemplating life, we decided it was time to go back down, but this time we called an Uber. We went back to the hotel again, and by this time I was starving. I was not used to the small portion sizes at all. You're telling me you won't give me enough food to feed a family of 4 and have leftover for 2 days? So I looked through the mini fridge and grabbed the mangoes. But then I realized I didn't have a knife, so I went back down to the lobby and asked the person at the front desk if they had a butter knife. And he had no idea what I was asking, so I did the only thing I could think of. Repeat it again, but louder. And gestured like I was stabbing something. Which in hindsight was probably not the best idea, but he caught the word knife and then he gave me one and I sprinted back to my room feeling super embarrassed. But at least I could finally eat the mango. There were actually a lot of fruit stores there, and one particular place had the most perfect fruits that they almost look fake. Of course, whenever I see any fruit, it's like I'm obligated to squish it, but when I barely laid one finger on it, the worker yelled at me not to touch it. Like, bro, you really can't let people touch— oh. Yeah, that makes sense. The next couple days were just shopping, eating, sleeping, and more eating. It was really relaxing, and I definitely recommend it. I still haven't adjusted to the time change, and I'm pretty sure I lost a full day's worth of sleep. And I'm sick. But, I'm still gonna make sure I finish this video.